Luisa is the founder of Pico Norte, a climbing gym turned community rooted in vulnerability and purpose. We dive into conscious business, sustainable growth, and why people-centered leadership creates lasting impact. How did you first get into climbing?
By mistake, actually. I thought I was going hiking, but then they put on the harness and start making the with the rope and stuff, and then I understand that I wasn't going to hike, so it was by mistake, but I got 100% into it on the first day. Next day I went to a climbing gym and I bought my shoes and chalk and everything, and obsessed since then.
So quite literally roped into it.
Yes.
Was it through a friend? Was it a friend that took you out, or?
No, actually I was alone whenever I choose to try it, because there was this club on my university, the climbing club.
Mm.
And so I joined them, and I was kind of afraid of coming because I didn't know anybody. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I jump into, I really, really liked everybody, the people in there were so kind of hippies.
Yeah.
And easygoing. So I like that environment a lot. And I loved the challenge and climb as you can. There are no rules, actually. So I found it was a pretty cool game.
I found through Claude, actually, that because he recently came across climbing and has also become obsessed, that it has that kind of nature to it, where you try it once and it's you can't stop. Like you said, you bought your stuff the next day. What do you think it is about the sport that is so enthralling?
Well, I have a hypothesis.
Okay.
That is about changing perspective, and some weeks ago, we did this meetup with friends to talk about being afraid, our relationship with being afraid in climbing, and we all conclude climbing has made us change the perspective with challenge and with frustration and with scare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Being scared? No.
Being scared. So I think it's kind of that, you change perspective and you're just using your body in some way that you don't usually do. So maybe that chip in the brain is the thing that makes it addictive. Addictive to, because you don't think you are capable of what you're doing. In your mind is not possible. So whenever you break that limit, it gets kind of addicted.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it's almost like you're constantly solving challenges. You're solving problems, every single step or every single reach or whatever the case may be, you're overcoming a challenge, right? And that releases dopamine, right? So maybe it's one of those things. Yeah, I don't know. I just think.
Yeah, of course. And actually the relationship with the problem or a problem, it's really crazy to study around cultures, because for example, Mexican culture, we don't have a pretty good relationship with problems. So we jump into losing interest in the problem or else. So here in Mexico, climbing is for it. It has created a community of people challenging the status quo. Mm-hmm. of the culture we're in.
Yeah, totally.
Uh-huh.
And so the other thing that I hear commonly about climbing in general, and you can validify this, is that it's electric, everybody really gets along. It's very inclusive. It's very collaborative, even though it's an individual sport. Do you feel that?
Yes, a lot. And it's kind of the new age version of the sport, because whenever I started 10 years ago, there were not lots of women, for example. And it can be a sport about ego too, like about ego, because also like fulfilling or achieving the, like solving the problem, as you said, it gives you dopamine and it gives you a sense of like belonging and stuff. So yeah, it has its dark side and its blind spot, but commonly it's super friendly because you empathize a lot with the person who is climbing, because you feel and you can like feel the sweat in your hands, and you are kind of feeling with the same as this person. So it's really easy to have friends of any age. I have friends like 14, 15 years old, and I feel like I can talk to them about climbing and stuff. And I also have friends like 50, 60 years, and we can chat about climbing.
You find that commonality, and regardless of age or demo or anything like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
because actually like the thing that is in common is climbing. So yeah, it's really nice to have this safe place. But I think we've been, as climbers, we've been building it and like strengthening this part of climbing, of inclusion.
And it really does have that aura around it, you know? Like that's a known thing about climbing from the outside as well. Like as a non-climber myself, like I really enjoy it, but I'm not active in the community, but I can see that it has that community within it.
Yes.
And I'm curious, in your perspective, why is that different about climbing than anything else? I know we've talked about the overcoming challenge and that sort of thing, but like you could take any other sport and it doesn't have the same community.
I don't know if it's like related to the part where you are so vulnerable, like in the wall and when, well, in the wall or in the gym, and if you are climbing, you feel vulnerable because you have this possibility of falling. So I don't know if that vulnerability, it makes you aware of others and willing to connect with others.
I love that. I think you nailed it. That's probably it, right? Because you're aware of other people's vulnerability, you're willing to share, and it's even just getting up on the wall in front of somebody else is far more vulnerable than, I don't know, swinging a golf club in front of somebody or whatever the case may be, right?
Yes. And I just like made that relationship, but like I love this author, Brené Brown, and she talks a lot about vulnerability. And she says like vulnerability is the only like way to connect with others. So maybe.
Interesting. I like that. You said something earlier, which was that when you got into it, it wasn't a prominent sport for women. Why do you think that is, and is that changing?
I think, well, as a lot of things in the world, like they were first created for men. So climbing, actually when I started climbing, my grandma was so mad at me and she like begged me to stop climbing. And I had these issues with my family about my arms like getting bigger and about some points of view that climbing was giving me. And like my family is so Catholic, and they were like kind of against what I was starting to question. So I think that maybe some years earlier, like it was not that bad that a man like was doing like adventurous stuff or dangerous stuff, but maybe for a woman, like people in society had other expectations and they were kind of more strict about them, you know? Maybe because of that. And like right now, like women started to question a lot of stuff, not like getting married, having kids. So a lot of women, and actually it was kind of my struggle at the beginning when I started with Pico Norte, because I saw like the stats and I was kind of, we have to do something about it. And it's not that simple. It's not just about bringing more women. It's about making the place open to have women and to have children, for example, because because yes, at the beginning, well, when I started, it was very manly, as if like the motivation you had were like, come on, just like don't think about it and just go for it. And for example, I just can't. I paralyze if I try to ignore my feelings, my emotions.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started like talking and coming around with friends, with girlfriends, and we started to make these changes and having this safe place that we at the beginning we started having this committee for women, but then it ended up being a committee for like safe space in general. So it's not just about like climbing being a sport for women, but it's about climbing being a sport not only for men,
For sure.
So I don't know. I think it's because like society is changing and a lot of women just want to participate more in not only in sports, but in other circles.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one thing to say we're going to create a safe space for anybody who wants to come, right? Like any age, any gender, any demographic, whatever the case. And it's a different thing completely to actually do it, right? So and maybe this is where, correct me if I'm wrong, but your education might come into play too, because you have a master's in organizational development, right? Mm-hmm. Did that help you in creating this space and like creating a community? And how did you do it? And how did you kind of learn from the experience? And when you made mistakes, you course correct and ensure, we do want to create this safe space.
Well, I'm actually studying this master right now. Awesome. And I started the master because I knew like the things that I'm doing, they have to have some theory behind. So kind of I'm trying to become more aware of what I'm doing and not just like going with the flow. But I think it's really about an attitude of learning and of like being really open to learning and to iterate stuff, because of course it's so hard at the beginning. For example, you have this way of thinking, like linear way of thinking, like, okay, I want to have more women, so I just put up a promo like 50% off for women, but like the result won't be there. So you have to be willing to guess, to have another guess, no? Like, okay, maybe if I can like have these meetups or special classes or special events. And actually, because I was at the beginning, I tried to do that, like, okay, I will have these events only for women. But then I like this year I started, I realized that I was kind of polarizing and like also being, putting men apart of the conversation. So yeah, I think it's just being open to experiment and to experiment with a purpose, and just understanding if this is working or not, and feedback. Like I just love feedback, and I love having conversations. So with the team, just talking about it and talking about like, okay, we did this women event, but a lot of we had this feedback, we had these comments. What are we thinking about it? What are we gonna change next year, for example? Yeah, but it's a lot of like, I don't know, awareness.
Yeah, awareness. Yeah, learning as you go, for sure. Yeah, and you bring up a really interesting conversation, which is that like in attempting to make it inclusive for one group, then by overdoing that, you could alienate everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really fine balance.
Yeah, it's a really fine balance. Also, like not only at the like for the outside community that's coming, also inside. For example, like having this balance of hearing everybody's voice, but also like making decisions sometimes gets hard whenever you are trying to hear everybody's voice. So yes, it's a hard balance.
For sure. So you accidentally fell into climbing, you fell in love, and then how did the actual gym come to be?
I kind of manifested because I went for an exchange in Italy, and it was my first time ever like being in a big climbing gym, and actually we had this, well, the climbing gym that I went had their 10th anniversary. So it was a super big competition and big party, and my mind was blown. So I came back to Monterrey, and I was like decided that I wanted to be part of a climbing gym. And then like every project I had on school, I was just like, okay, climbing gym, bouldering gym, and I was like trying to talk more about it and to know more people in Monterrey who wanted the same stuff. And so like I met two people. They were both opening a climbing gym, like beginning these projects, Pico Norte and Sierra Elevation. It was another climbing gym. Well, it's still another climbing gym here. And I was with the two of them talking and knowing like where I can be part of. And I decided to come with Pico Norte, but I still like really close friends with these other guys. And then it just like came along. And actually I wasn't at the beginning the leader of the project. It was both of them, both guys. But I had this like strong vision of what I wanted about a community and like something for the climbing community and about being inclusive and stuff. And I felt that I would have like more autonomy in Pico Norte. And actually I did. I had like totally freedom, not from the beginning, but like people in the project were like just letting me go and hearing me up. And then like just more than 1 year ago, they just let me like the whole business to...
You took over.
Yes, to go.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's been crazy, a crazy year.
I believe it. So what was that process like from going, so you joined when there was already an idea, and then you obviously had strong vision and that sort of thing, and kind of facilitated the vision of the brand, and then you take over. So what happened among that period where, like, was it a slow kind of thing, or was it just like a year ago they were like, here you go?
I think a lot of confidence and growth from myself, because at the beginning I had the idea and I had like the vision, but like not as it is. It's so much better right now as I could imagine. And actually we started talking and I brought to the table the purpose of having a community, of creating community, and they loved it. And I just like put my ideas and they were like, okay, that's a really good idea. And the way I managed the team and stuff, it was like okay for them. But then I lacked a lot of knowledge and competitions that I have been like developing. So maybe I couldn't like just be the leader at the beginning.
So do you feel like a year ago, it was obviously time for you to take over? Like you had learned the skills that you lacked at the beginning?
Yes, because like last year, I was already feeling like I want more autonomy and more more autonomy to put my whole vision. And actually it was kind of already that way, like the vision and the values and stuff that I was bringing up, but I wanted like to have the whole strategy too of the business. So yeah, maybe confidence, actually. Confidence is the thing that I was missing. I'm still missing like a lot of confidence, but
It's a lifelong journey.
yes.
Yeah, that's 100%, and it will come. It will come, obviously, right? As you continue. What was the process for the previous, like, was it the previous owners and they handed off the reins to you, or can you tell me about that dynamic? What was the process for them to give it to you?
Well, like we all put some money at the beginning, but then they started putting more money, and then like one of the co-founders, he was like just like the leader of the project. And then when I like got into operation too, I was like the operations leader. And then like he wanted to do other stuff. So he just said like, do you want to be like the CEO? And I said yes. But yeah, we were like, I was more focused on operations. So I kind of like knew the whole business. And actually I did like all the jobs in Pico Norte. I have done them and I love it. And I still like love it. We have this competition, like it's our biggest competition in the year. And last year, I don't know why, but I had this bunch of energy, the day of the competition. And I did everything, like everything. I was at front desk, I clean up, I was with people, I competed, I did everything. So yeah, I kind of like this like perspective.
Totally. And it kind of like being a successful CEO is dependent on the fact that you can do anything within the company, right? Maybe, I mean, the ideal case is that you hire people that can do it better than you, right? But the ability and the knowledge and that sort of thing to be able to do all these things gives you the perspective that you need to make the right decisions and move in the right direction.
Yes, actually, and a lot of empathy with the person like actually doing the work daily. So yes, a lot of perspective.
So when the gym first came to be, what was lacking in the Monterrey community that didn't exist before that led to Pico Norte's success?
Well, I think it's still kind of lacking because we're just building it, but a safe place to challenge your boundaries, a safe place to be authentic and to like talk about anything and not being judged or not feeling judged. And we all talk about it, like all the stuff, we talk about it, about Pico Norte being kind of a bubble because you are so used to like being in flip-flops and being sport gym and being like messy with no makeup or whatever. And then you just go out and you feel different, you know? So I don't know, like one customer just told me like, you are at third place, like your home is your first place, your work is your second place, and Pico Norte is your third place. So it kind of made me feel like so nice because sometimes you have stuff, no, at your house, at your work or whatever. So having this extra safe place, it's so nice. Yeah, and like a safe place to also to be different and to question yourself and everything else. I think
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you've built this incredible community, and I'm sure you have, and you continue to foster that, obviously, and you're continuing to do that. How, like, when you've created this thing, it's important to protect it, right? It's important to make sure that it doesn't change or go the wrong direction and that sort of thing. And I feel like one of the key ingredients of that is the people that you hire, the staff in the room, how they make people feel, how they greet people at the door, how they treat, in customer service, whatever the case may be. So how do you protect your community via the people that you hire? What are some of the things that you're thinking about when you're hiring new staff?
At the beginning is, well, not still is very intuitive as how you feel with the people. And like actually the staff in Pico have this sense of knowing what means being like Pico vibes, we say. And it's like someone who is like easygoing and stuff. But also, like, I don't know, I have this mindset about diversity and about leading through strengths. So it's kind of like you have to meet the right fit for the job description, and then you can work with their strengths, for example, because if I mean the Pico Norte vibe is like someone who is just like unique and authentic. So it's kind of weird. We don't have like the perfect fit, but we always try to well, I myself hate firing. It doesn't make any sense for me if you hire the person. Of course, I have been into that several times, but I prefer like feedback and strengths, like leading people through their strengths and empowering people. And if you empower people, like any job, if you empower them and if you guide them, they will feel so good about it, so they will copy what the leader is doing with them, because they feel, for example, they feel welcome. I really feel that they are all my friends, so I treat them as friends, and we have no invisible frontiers. We have no hierarchies, and they love that so much that they do the same with the customer. So there are also no boundaries with customers. And it's kind of hard because sometimes, like, for example, one discussion we had was about uniforms, no? Like, okay, but like they don't like that much, but it's like kind of professional. And at the end we decided, okay, we won't have uniforms. We will have like nice merch, of nice Pico Norte merch, and you can use it if you want it, and if you don't use it. But like, be sure of being helpful to people and like being aware whenever anyone needs your help, right? So we're kind of bringing another purpose and another sense to selling, to customer service. I mean, yeah, it's not about selling. It's about helping another climber to climb more, and helping another climber to have their first pair of shoes. And for example, like the customer service is also about helping someone else. And I don't know, we're just kind of, because I just like test everyone, because I love like personality tests and stuff. And we are so empathic. We're so empathic. Yes, we're so empathic. And so we have this kind of hard issue with selling and with capitalism and with stuff. So we have to transform that, and we have to not to sell, but for the sustainability of the business. So I don't know, I think like they copy what they like from the leader. Actually, even if they don't like it, you know, if you have this like tough person, tough person, like for sure the leader is hard on them. So no, I don't know. Sometimes it's really a hippie point of view, and not a lot of people like it. And I know it has a lot of blind spots, but I think the balance, like trying to get into the balance from from this idea of this is a good person. I think it's better than coming from the side of I don't trust this person. So,
yeah. Well, I think it sounds like you're leading by example, obviously, right? You're showing empathy so that everybody else can show empathy. And that definitely goes down the line, right? Like if you show it, then it gets copied, like you said, because people treat people how they want to be treated, right? And so if you have the right people in the room, naturally, they're going to do the same thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see like everybody caring for each other and like being so different from each other and just like feeling they are friends.
Do you feel like that Pico vibe that you're talking about, that attracts that does your hiring in itself, right? Like I would imagine, right? To a certain extent. I'm sure you get some bad apples too, but
Yes. I mean, a lot of people want to work at Pico Norte, and we have no vacancies almost, like we don't. And like whenever they get a chance to work here, they are thankful. They are thankful for having this opportunity in a different place. So yeah, I think like it builds up a good reputation as employer, and also it helps you like with productivity. I mean, if you have the same people doing the work, they're just getting better, and whenever if they have to leave, they will be willing to pass this knowledge and to collaborate for like this change or whatever.
Could you or did you anticipate the success that you had in a short amount of time when you were starting?
I mean, what is success?
Good question. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. I have this issue because at the beginning, like success looked like having a lot of climbing gyms. Like right now, it doesn't look like that. So I don't know. It's weird because I've been thinking a lot about how to grow the business, but then I'm actually like, why do I want to grow, and how do I want to grow? And I kind of like, what motivates me to look for growth. Well, at the beginning, it was like to pay better to staff. But now I kind of feel more. I feel more that it's about sustainability and not about growth. It's like, okay, we need to increase sales because we need to be healthier, like financially healthier. And if we can make a business, a healthy business, and we can like know how to operate this, of course, like growth will come because people will notice and people will want, I don't know, a climbing gym in their city or whatever, no? So I think like my approach is changing. And because I started this year like, okay, 50% of growth, 15% of growth. And then I'm just like realizing like, maybe it's not about growth because we did growth, we did grow, but like we also had more expenses, you know? So I'm just like thinking maybe it's about sustainability and about making the business like optimize the business, you know?
Yeah, 100%. You're looking to increase the health of the business rather than the growth, right? Like less. Yeah. I'm sure Claude is shuddering behind the camera right now because him and I have conversations like this all the time, and that's what we're trying to do as well. So I totally understand what you're saying. Pay better, give back more, create a vibe, create a community, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's more like purpose driven than profit driven. And it's kind of like for me it's a dilemma. A dilemma because you have to think of the whole, and you have to, because at the beginning I was more like, I never wanted to be in business. I wanted to work for a nonprofit. It was like my dream.
Right.
And so I started doing business as if we were a nonprofit, you know? And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. And like, also you cannot just raise salaries without a backup or with a plan or with a strategy. So yeah, it's been crazy. I think like if I can measure success, I don't know if like for myself, for Luisa, not for Pico Norte, but I didn't think that I was going to be like this kind of conscious about business, about what having a business means, like not only being an employer, but having an impact in community, in society, and having a voice. For example, being here is just because of that, like of daring to have this challenge, because it's super challenging. And I also like I have these like difficult times, and I think about quitting. Like what am I doing here? I idealize having a boss. Like, oh, it would be so nice to have a boss that just tells me like, you're doing good, or no, you're doing wrong, you can change this, or this is the way. And sometimes, I don't know, it's so hard for me to go like having this gut feeling, and like trying to be rational about it, and trying to have like being purpose driven, but also like with one eye looking for finance. You know, it's hard. So I don't know, like things like this, they empower me a lot to keep on working, and keep on like putting this vision and trying to make this like a better world. Maybe.
Well, I think there's a couple of things there. Like, I think number one, the community that you've built is validation that you're doing the right thing. Like you said, having a voice and being able to share that, and even just looking at what you're doing with the business is incredible validation. So, although there are, of course, are hard days, it's important to recognize how far you've come and how far you have yet to go, right? On that note, I'm curious about when you have those hard days, when you're fantasizing about having a boss that just tells you what to do and clock in, clock out, right? What energy do you draw on to push you through that and, get yourself back in the CEO hat?
I think people, but because of my personality, I did this strengths test. And my number one strength is belief. So I'm really purpose-driven myself. So whenever I'm kind of losing up in numbers or in achievement, because it's a lot about achievement, about like meeting the numbers, or dealing with your feelings or your emotions around competition, like it's really emotional, no? Like I'm losing market share, I'm losing whatever, as if you're in a competition, right? So, like, okay, the first thing that drives me in, of course, are my traumas, my insecurities, my like being afraid of failing. Yeah, like I'm really afraid of failing, and like I'm trying to make a point here, like doing business this way, but it could not work or whatever. But then I just like try to connect with people, and I love being vulnerable with my team. I once told this to my dad, and he was like, "Don't do that. Like, you're the leader and the boss, and you." But I'm like, I've noticed that whenever I'm vulnerable, they can be vulnerable too, and they're like, "Oh, I was just feeling the same thing," and sometimes it's so hard, like to manage a team and to manage stuff and that, and I'm just like, yes, it's so hard because of this, and then we just like therapy each other. And so for me, like my energy goes up whenever I connect with people, and whenever like I open up and I let go. I don't know, I just let go and said like, okay, I'm being transparent about what I'm feeling, and always like people told me, just as you told me, like like, okay, but look what you have built, and know it, you're a great leader and you're so inspiring, and like one step at a time, and like don't lose over, and you're doing great, and a lot of stuff. So like for me, connecting with people, it just brings my energy levels back into normal, so I can
Back to execution.
back to execution.
Do you feel like more businesses should build or think about things the way that you're thinking about things?
Yes, of course. And I've been struggling with this. Like, I don't like absolute ideas, and I love like dialogue and having a conversation. And so I'm questioning myself about being absolute about this way of thinking. And maybe it's not absolute, like as business should be this way, but maybe we should just be more conscious about how we are having an impact on others, not just in business, for example, like also in family, in education, in politics, or also in nonprofit organizations, because you can have this nonprofit with a nice purpose, but like they treat each other like unconsciously. So yeah, maybe it's not about how to do business, like rules, a set of rules. It's only about being more conscious about how you are making an impact, because we all are making an impact, and it depends on our level of consciousness if our impact is towards good, or towards good for the whole.
What do you think is the barrier for people that aren't thinking this way, or maybe closed-minded to it in the first place? Is it profit? Is it, what do you think it is?
Maybe being afraid. Maybe, I don't know. Because whenever you question yourself, I mean, not questioning yourself is kind of being on the comfort zone. So you're just like on the known, So questioning is kind of challenging, because you don't know if you will be wrong or right, you will be accepted or not, if your point of view will be taken in account or whatever. So maybe that, and it's kind of counterintuitive, because we are so afraid of not belonging and not being loved that we are closed-minded.
I think you're right. Because I think it's far more uncomfortable to lean into something that is non-traditional or less done at a less frequent rate. So it's probably easier for people to follow along the footsteps of what has always been done, and pushing the boundary and thinking in new ways, as you are, is far harder.
Yeah, actually it is. It is, because, well, whenever I ask for advice, sometimes in business, for example, around accountability, well, there are strong ways of thinking about how to make people like responsible, so, and in control of business. So yeah, I think it's harder, and leaders in Pico Norte feel that too. Like, it's so much harder to empower, and not just to tell what to do, to have a discussion instead of just like being an authority. Yes, it's harder.
I would say it's also more personally consuming, right? Would you agree? Because I think the way you're describing too is like you care so much more about these people, rather than, like you said, telling them what to do. You're empowering them to make their own decisions, but then you have to worry about what those decisions are because they impact you in the business. And so you're far more emotionally involved, maybe.
Yes, totally. And it's so hard. And maybe we're just connecting everything, because like having something emotionally tiring, it makes you feel vulnerable. So maybe we are so afraid of being vulnerable and about not knowing and about questioning.
Full circle. That's why the climbing gym works. Vulnerability. I love it. You briefly mentioned this idea, but I want to circle back on it, which is sustainable capitalism. And we talked about this a little bit off camera, but can you describe what that means for the audience that might not understand?
Well, at the beginning, I heard this author. I forgot the name, but well, I read this book, Conscious Capitalism, and the author is John Mackay. He's the co-founder of Whole Foods, and I don't know. I'm still just thinking a lot about this, but like it makes perfect sense to me because that was what I wanted to do with Pico Norte. And he talks about building an ecosystem and about being conscious of the impact your business is having on others. And he says that in your ecosystem, you can put not only suppliers and customers, but also like activists against you, or like people that cross the street whenever, if you have a location. And so you can expand the boundaries of your ecosystem and also expand your impact. And he says that like business, well, as we live in a capitalist society, well, most of the countries, and so business are everywhere. So business are touching everybody's lives as if you are consuming or you are producing, or if you are being an employer or if you're being employee. And so his theory is about the impact that business can have. And I don't know, like I really like this concept of being conscious and of using business to make a good impact. But also like the whole capitalism, like the whole, like, I mean, growing without a purpose also like stops making sense for me. So yes, it's kind of, there are a lot of theories, like, I mean, a lot of branches, like the conscious capitalism and the social capitalism and the sustainable one and more like ecologic view. So, and social entrepreneurship, and there are a lot of concepts, right? And I think like better they exist than not. Yeah.
I love it. And I'm connecting a lot of these topics that we're discussing. And, you know, we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about conscious capitalism, we're talking about all of these different ideas that have multiple, and like even just providing a healthy wage for all of your staff members and these kind of things. And I liken it to, because we were chatting about the like a nonprofit as well, right? But a nonprofit has so much red tape around making any different impact other than the specific mission that they have. Whereas a for-profit company can make all of these changes and help all of these people and build community and all of these things far more simultaneously without, right? So when you're thinking, I know we touched on this as well, but when you're thinking about growth, you now have 2 locations, correct? How are you going to, and do you want to, expand to different markets? Because I would imagine if you've had such a great impact here locally, why would you not want to do that elsewhere? But what does that look like for you in your mind?
I actually don't know like what will be the way. I see many like possibilities. I think like growing more here in Monterrey, like having more locations in Monterrey would be nice. Also about knowledge. For example, well, as in business, you have capital, right? And you want this capital to make more value, economic or whatever. But then like we can be capital, like we people. So if we develop ourselves and if we share I think we can like develop human capital, you know? For example, I feel that with myself. Like I'm studying and I'm trying to understand why this is working and how can this be repeated. So no, I don't know. Like I think we could like invest Pico Norte's capital in more business run like this. I've always dreamed I've always dreamed to have a campground, a climbing campground. So yeah, I think I think the first step is to make this sustainable and to understand like all the whys. Why are we doing this and why is this working? And then I like trust opportunities will come, because opportunities are coming, like to have a Pico Norte in another city, for example. We're just like having these conversations, and I think it's great because investment will come if the project is good and you're not like forcing it up, you know?
Mm.
And I prefer that, like it's more an organic growth and it's more the same system wanting to grow and being able to grow, and you're not just like injecting money for it to grow. You know?
I see what you're saying. It's like it's growing it in different ways, in beyond potentially the climbing gym. Like if you were to create a climbers campground or whatever the case may be, or anything you really want to, and kind of copy paste the culture and the why and the purpose and all these things, and create the community for the staff and members, etc., to have this ulterior kind of impact.
Yes, actually, we did this year. We were like just thinking about how could we grow, and we made, for example, an e-commerce, and it's doing good. So yeah, it's like looking in the system, because we as a staff, we all have like some projects or ideas, and we kind of know where we can grow. And also like you don't have to put a lot of locations to grow. You can just like develop your team and listen to your team and have these projects and know if the project is working or if it's not. And I don't know, I think it's more organic, and in the long term, it is more sustainable to grow this way.
So it's not out of the question for you to have a business that, you know, does something different in the future.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm so open to that. I'm just like more purpose driven. So yes, I would love to like do whatever if I just have the same purpose as I have now.
Awesome. One of the first things that you said in this conversation was that when you started climbing, your grandmother was a non-approval. Has that changed?
I don't know. She's such a hard person on me, and I actually make this, okay, I'm going to get vulnerable with her, and I'm having this open conversation, and she's so close-minded, and we have this conversation. I knew it was hard on her, not because like I was hard on her, but it was like hard for her to know, like I just told her like I want to be with you, and I want to know you, and I'm interested in connecting with you. But if you are constantly like telling me that I'm not enough, like I'm not enough, what I'm doing, what I'm doing is not enough for you, and you would prefer, because for example, I'm not married, and she also kind of hates that I'm not married. And so I told her, like, if you're always mad at me, judging me, I won't be like willing to come to your house and to listen to you and stuff. And she actually cried, and she was like, why are you telling all this to me? And I was trying to be as compassionate as I could. And actually at the end, she like clean up and she hugged me and she was like, thank you. And she hasn't mentioned any more like for me to stop climbing.
Good.
She still wants me to get married.
That's funny.
But we're like, I mean, I'm also more compassionate, and I know like if I only tell her like, yeah, maybe later, it's not that big deal for me too. So
there are so many entrepreneurs listening to this that are thinking about how to create community, how to create a sustainable business, how to create something that really has impact and drives impact. Throughout your learnings over the past 10 years at Pico Norte, what would you say is the key message to these people that are in whatever industry they're in, wanting to create impact?
I think being people-centered, it's a key because people feel it. Maybe it takes a little bit longer than usual marketing because it has been for us, but people can feel it. And I mean, also you can be like data driven and do your feedback forms and whatever, and you will notice that because we have. I mean, or we do this feedback form to everybody, like every new person that comes into Pico Norte, and we give you a free day pass for your second visit. So a lot of people answer it, and like 75% of the people came because a friend of them told them. So yeah, maybe we can be investing a lot in marketing and advertisement, but like if someone invites you, it has so much. I mean, it has so much impact on the person on their first visit, for example. So yeah, I think like be patient because like changes, if you are trying to change something like a business or something complex like a business or a community, like changes will take time. So patience and awareness, a lot of awareness, and being people-centered, for example, like being people-centered around the staff and the customers and the community around, and hear everybody's point of view, but also like having your own criteria. And well, for me, having a clear purpose of why am I doing it, like on these hard days, it gets me back. And and I just found like everybody else in my team is doing the same thing. They also have these hard times. So yeah, I think that because people can feel the purpose behind, and people can feel the intentions. So if you're a leader and they feel that your intentions are only business driven or profit driven, they will feel it. They will feel it. So
everybody will, right? Yeah. Which brings me to another question: is how if I were to come in, and I hope I do this week, if I were to come into Pico Norte for the first time, what experience have you designed for that customer? What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to experience?
Well, we just did this year the customer journey. It helped us a lot to empathize with customers because, for example, most of us, we are climbers already. So we forget how was it the first time you get. So the experience is meeting someone, because you probably will meet the person at the front desk, and maybe they will get curious about yourself, because we try to connect with people, and then to guide you to like through the place. And also, if you have no knowledge of climbing, because it's not paddle, for example, is not that like friendly at the beginning. So they will give you tips like how to climb, how to know, like how to look for the easiest problems at the beginning, and yes, and stuff. And like the best thing the best thing for me is like whenever you are climbing, you will have these people that will get into you, like, where are you from? Or if they like cheer you up, and they could be customers, coach, staff, and even founders. Like we're just part of the same community. So it's really nice to be in this place where you can just connect.
Yeah, people are just genuine and curious and want to know about you and want to share the love for climbing, right? Yeah. Finally, I'm sure there are plenty of people that are listening that have never climbed before. And after this conversation, I don't know why they wouldn't. But if you were speaking to somebody who's never climbed before and you were explaining what you get out of it, what would that look like?
Well, a lot of self-confidence. For me, like being a woman, I don't know, maybe as a man too, but like being a woman before climbing, I didn't feel I was strong. I didn't feel I was capable of doing like of going through my boundaries or my limits. And I noticed that I have a lot of strength and I'm really resilient because I have this tolerance to frustration. I can look at a problem from different perspectives. I can challenge myself every day and like climbing. And I just like thought about this yesterday because I was climbing and I was getting frustrated with a boulder. And I just like sat down and I was like, remember, it's a tool for personal growth. And then like, what am I learning from this frustration? So yeah, climbing is a tool to know myself better.
Everybody needs that.
Yeah. Yeah, I recommend
Awesome.
everybody to do climbing at least one time.
And ideally done here in Monterrey in Pico Norte.
Yes, and why not?
Yeah,
Here in
exactly.
Pico Norte.
Exactly.
No, yes, but at least one time so you can like get out of your comfort zone, change perspective, and learn something. And then if you were too afraid, you can never come back, or you can become addicted.
More likely.
Yeah, more likely.
Luisa, this has been an incredibly refreshing conversation. So thank you for sharing your perspective on business. Thank you for sharing what you're doing. And I see it, and I'm excited for other people to see it as well. So I'm excited to follow along. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having this space, and also to thank you for hearing my voice.